I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Eric Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. Gunmetal Hime joins us. Hi.
Hi, hello, Eric. Thank you for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're busy. Got a lot of stuff going on. I appreciate you coming on the show. For those folks who don't know you, could you introduce yourself?
My name is Gunmetal Hime. You can call me Gunmetal Hime, as long as you don't call me before noon or late for dinner. I mostly stream RPGs and stuff over on Twitch. And then over on the YouTube side, I like to edit videos where I post like challenge runs of video games. I work on doing educational content for other streamers who may just need some help getting stuff figured out. And other than that, I also enjoy a rather varied assortment of things on the side too. So.
And anything else? I mean, you pretty much covered everything there. So, is there anything that slips by the Goldie Pads?
I feel like that's basically it as far as that goes. I've got a mild. I completely lost my train of thought there for a second.
And ran
I
right
have
off.
a grasp of almost everything in a very mediocre way.
There you go. I've always aspired to mediocrity. That way, no one really expects much out of you.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you finally do over-deliver, it's great.
Yeah. See, I tell them at work, always give 50%. That way, someday if you accidentally give 60%, they think it's 110%, and you still have 40% left over.
Exactly, and then everybody's super happy about it.
Yep, and I get still nap. That's perfectly fine. So obviously you're very much into this streaming, VTubing. When did you get started and why?
Well, I started, for the reason I feel like I've watched a few of your interviews leading up to this, and I feel like a very common reason has been lovely old COVID. I started streaming with my face in June of 2020, and I stuck with that for a good 3 years, and I've always really been interested in the concept of moving to VTubing. Like, I've got a version of my model from 2021, and it is ugly and disgusting, but that's like my prototype, and I worked up from there. So October of last year, I hit burnout really badly because I tried to niche down too far into one video game and I hated it. So I'm like, I need to change something. And VTubing was the change I needed to actually want to keep going with content creation.
Yeah, sometimes you get so focused onto something that it ceases to become something enjoyable and becomes just a drag. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is that what happened to you?
100%.
Well. Yeah, but then when it becomes where you don't want to get up and do it, then you're like, why am I doing it in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. And I got stuck in that really bad negative feedback loop for a good couple of months before I realized I needed to make a change because I didn't realize that I was going through burnout. I feel like a lot of people don't notice right away. Then again, that could also just be me and the ADHD, so I don't know.
It could be. It could be. I mean, there's a lot of people who do that, who overwhelm themselves and then get mad at themselves when they can't keep up a certain pace. And everybody's got to remember, no matter where you're at, no matter how many people you got following you and listening to you and watching you, you are a human being, and eventually it's going to get to you.
Yeah, exactly. We're not machines or robots as much as we might want to wish that we were.
Yeah. AI hasn't taken us over yet, as far as that goes. You still got maybe...
Not yet. I'm watching you, Skynet.
We might have another month or so before that happens, so let's enjoy it while we can.
Exactly. I give it another good 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's good. You got me beat. I'm already on the way out. They already attacked radio. They already attacked my radio guys. So it's just a question.
Oh, that sucks.
It's a question where they follow me next. When you got started with this, have you been someone who's always wanted to be in front of people and entertain people, or is this something out of the blue for you?
It's something I've always wanted to do, and it started when I was young. Mom Metal Hime, one of her favorite things when I was in elementary school and then into middle school was, if you don't sign up for at least one performing extracurricular, you can't do anything else. And of course, me not really wanting to, but knowing that, like I could do it. I was in choir from like 6th grade up through, my senior year of high school. I was in theater from 5th grade up until I think my junior year of high school.
Yeah.
And just all that sort of stuff always really called to me, and I always really enjoyed it because as much as I do tend to get stage fright and stuff like that, I end up having just so much more fun. As soon as you get up on that stage and those lights turn on, that all kind of like melts away and you can just do what you need to do. And I think that that's a really interesting space of mine to be in. And I've managed to recapture that through streaming because I will do the same thing with streaming. Even now, it's been almost 4 years and I'll still be really anxious to hit the go live button. I'll still be anxious to sit down and record a video. And then as soon as I hit record or start stream, everything's all good.
Well, that's really good to hear that somebody has actually gets better when the lights turn on instead of me, which was to run away and hide. And I mean, I've talked to thousands of people at a time on the radio back when, but it's when I got in front of people that there was a big difference, and I didn't really enjoy that one bit. But here, not only do you get a chance to be in front of faceless people, but you've got a possible audience of the entire planet, basically.
Yeah,
You're talking to
yeah.
people upside down from you on the other side of the world. And every once in a while, during a pause, do you think about that and like, what in the world's going on?
Oh, all the time. I not regularly, but often enough. I've had people come in and they're like, "Yeah, hi, I'm from Sweden. Yeah, hi, I'm from Korea." Stuff like that, and it baffles me because I think that as much horror and terrible stuff the internet has brought
Mhm.
to our society, the connection that we have with other people that we wouldn't have had otherwise is really valuable to me, you know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the ability, that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because back in the 18th century when I was in radio, the this would not have been possible. I wouldn't have been able to talk with people from the Philippines, from the Korea, from Australia, especially in a place where I could just it sound like they're in the next room because I was all over phone lines would have cost $1 million and would have sounded like me yelling into a tin can. And, and
Exactly.
it would have been terrifically bad. And now it's just like, well, whoever picks up the microphone, and
Yeah, exactly. And there's like there's magic behind that almost. I know clearly it's science, but it feels like magic sometimes.
yeah, I'll go with magic. Science gets too much credit these days. I'll go with
Yeah,
magic.
no kidding.
Yeah. So once you got started, was it a question? Did you catch an audience quick, or did it take a little while to build up your base?
Well, that's kind of a complicated question.
Mm,
I've I guess it was somewhat quick, all things considered. I feel like I do take that for granted sometimes because I did end up hitting affiliate on Twitch rather quickly.
mm,
I think it was less than 3 months from when I started to having that monetized status.
mm,
And then that's the three average viewers, 50 followers, all that good stuff.
right.
And then it just kind of kept growing and kept growing. And then the lockdown ended and everything kind of stagnated a little bit. We're back up on that upward trend again, which is always really nice to see.
Yeah, and it's not just excuse me, it's not just for people who are tuning in, it's for people who are participating as well. And
Yeah.
have you found it easier to collaborate with people now that all of that is has ended and things are on the upswing again?
Well, it's really funny because you might not believe it from me sitting here, in the radio studio with you, but
Mm,
I'm relatively averse to doing collabs. It's only been within the last 9 months or so that I've actually been open to doing it,
mm,
which is it's a me problem. I've got a very hard time scheduling myself and making sure that I have time for things, and I one of my biggest fears is letting people down, so I try not to put myself in that position. But I'm finally starting to come back out of that box again. I've been doing a collab with two of my friends recently, where we've been doing like a modified Nuzlocke of a Pokemon game all together at the same time, and that's been a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do more of that kind of stuff now.
I do enjoy watching people on the Nuzlocks because because it's great to see the successes, but the failures are so spectacular.
They really are. I had a really bad one this last session where I took out all of our teams. So the concept is it's a soul link. So all of our Pokemon for each route are like connected together.
Yeah.
And I took out our whole team in one battle. It was horrible.
Yeah, especially if you have like stuff scheduled for the next several weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
Rain delay theater. Let's watch it again. Oh,
Oh man.
oh my gosh! But it being able to collaborate with people as did that come when you first started off? Did that come easier, or did you have some experiences that made it tough for you?
I definitely had some experiences that made it tough for me. I think that everybody has, though. Once you've been in the space for long enough, interpersonal relationships aren't easy even under the best of circumstances,
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's a matter of finding the right people, knowing that you mesh, even if you know that you mesh, making sure that everybody can behave in a socially acceptable way instead of acting like goofballs to an unacceptable degree, you know.
Yes, I do know that. It happened in radio too. But
I believe it.
yeah, and but I think people need to realize too that if they're not outside the what you're doing, is that sometimes it's not anybody's fault that it doesn't work.
Yeah, no, that's one of the fun things about it. Well, that's part of why interpersonal relationships are so hard is that, sometimes it's just nobody's fault and people don't mesh or things don't work out and you can't blame anybody for it. You just got to keep moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why folks who are able to do this and keep a good bunch of people around them and continue to expand their circle. Um, I think that's pretty lucky for them to be able to do that because it would be tough for me to trust anybody like that because
Yeah.
you're throwing all your work into their lap and now you also have the responsibility of their work in your lap.
Yeah, it can be a lot. It can definitely be a lot.
Yeah, and the what you've been able to do so far, are you as far now? Are you about online of your goal when you got started?
Being honest with you, I have far surpassed any of the goals I set for myself when I first started,
Mm.
which is terrifying and awesome at the same time. But you know what that means is I got to set new goals now and figure out what I want to keep doing.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose now. You can't. Here's another question for you. Now, do you have to pass up some things that you would have done when you got started?
I think, unfortunately, now knowing what I do, because I've recently, I don't know if you have ever heard of the book, but it's written by somebody who helps Mr. Beast with his analytics. Let me check the name of the book really quick because I've already forgotten. But I get really into the back end analytics of things, which can ruin your motivation, but I find it inspiring in a sense.
Hmm.
Let me say it's called the YouTube Formula. It's
Okay.
a very good book about stuff like that. And knowing what I know now about certain things and how they work and stuff like that, I have had to pass some things up that I would really like to do just by knowing that, my audience wouldn't necessarily like it, or just because I want to do it doesn't mean that they want to see it. And of course, you're always going to have people who say, yeah, if you do it, I would love to watch that, or I'd love to see this, or I'd love to hear that. It doesn't always come true on the other side.
Yeah, and certainly too, it may be a small minority that wants you to see it, but they're vocal. And
Yeah, that too.
and while you do something, and three people who really wanted to see it get to see it, no one else comes in and watches. And then you're like, okay, now what have I done?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, uh-oh, I accidentally alienated some of my viewer base for today. That's fun.
Yeah, that's great. Now I got to go crawl get them back. Um, with
Yeah.
that, are there some, I would say, fool's gold things that you have to avoid? Certain types of special streams that may draw you a little bit in the short term, but hurt you long term.
Ooh, well, that could be basically anything. So that's part of the problem with flavor of the month stuff,
Mm,
or doing things like subathons,
mm,
or doing heavy ASMR streams, or just niching down too hard. Clearly, I had a bad experience with niching down too hard, and I try to avoid that.
right.
It's a balance that you have to find when you want to do something like that. I don't think that there's any one specific thing in particular. It's just a matter of how you do it. You know
Mm,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I could imagine doing a 24-hour stream and having fewer people tune in because they know they're not going to get the same stream you usually have, and by hour 13 you're like a cold fish on there anyway, and no one wants to see what you're doing, and
I've been there.
it kind of draw it kind of push people away rather than draw people in. uh, these are There are some potholes out there to find if you really want to look for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
But then again, finding those potholes is part of the fun, you know? You
mm,
can always readjust your course and change a tire later.
yeah, if you can afford the tire.
Yeah.
I was in
It's not
radio.
just the spare that's been rotting in the garage for the last 10 years.
That's right. Sometimes it's the car that's been rotting in the garage for the last 10 years. The
No kidding.
whole situation for you now, you're in a different situation obviously than when you got started. You see other folks starting off, and maybe you see them start to make a mistake or two that you went through or you avoided when you got started. What keeps you from jumping in and trying to rescue them?
The only thing at this point has been that I have learned my lesson one too many times about trying to help people before they ask for help. You can only help somebody if they want it to be helped. Horse to water and whatnot.
Mm.
There have been times where I have attempted to intervene and been like, hey, that's probably not a good idea. Don't do that. But of course, people need to find out for themselves. And now that I know that for sure, it's like, okay, well, you do that. And after you figured that out, I can help you afterwards.
No, no, you probably shouldn't light the match right there. You should probably back it. No, no, go ahead. I'll
Yeah,
just
just a
watch
couple
from
of
here.
feet, please, please.
But you said that you've actually been helping folks in kind of a was it a mentoring type of program or what?
Well, it's not really a program. It's more that it's kind of embarrassing, really. Some of my friends do refer to me as Mane-chan because I'll look at their stuff and go, hey, this did really well and this didn't. Do this instead.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you need help setting this up. Let me look it up. I'll help you out. It's just something I've always kind of had a knack for as part of my, various amounts of interests, relatively I'm okay at tech support. I'm okay at Google foo. I can Google something and find stuff. I can find stuff out. But mostly, what I do is I just try to throw things at the wall and see if it sticks to people, and they pick up on the signs around it.
Yeah, yeah, but it's the fact that you've been through it obviously gives you a better platform to tell them from.
Ideally, anyway. Yeah,
Now, whether they listen or not is something else.
yeah, definitely.
And that goes in every industry, whether it's entertainment or not. So you've always wanted to do the entertainment. You've gotten a chance to do it. What do you want to do now? Do you have anything that's big on the horizon that you haven't got to yet? That's your big goal.
Well, currently, one of my big goals is 100K on YouTube because I actually did get fully ad monetized last month. It
Yay!
came out of nowhere. I had to do a karaoke stream because of it, but it was fun. It ended up being a great time. So I think that's like a far out but definitely pertinent goal for me is getting to the, nice pretty silver plaque to hang on my wall mark for that.
Oh, that'd be cool, wouldn't it?
It would be so cool.
Yeah, it's something you look up and look like, oh, hey, yeah, that's now I kind of jumped that fence and I'm on the other side. But
Right. It's
that
like
just
I've got physical reminder of all of my hard work, but now I have to keep going because I can't rest on my laurels. That's one of the best pieces of advice I got when I started streaming from somebody who has by now 100,000 subscribers. We don't talk much anymore, but he's like, "Look, you've done really well so far. You've done this really quickly. Don't stop trying because as soon as you stop trying, you're going to get complacent. Keep working."
yeah, and
So, I try to abide by that.
that's in any entertainment field, though. I mean, you can't really get too stale. People
Yeah.
people will come and they'll enjoy. I explained it to someone before. In the old radio days, you had disc jockeys that would play the same songs on different radio stations. People came to listen to the songs, but they came back for the disc jockeys. They came back for the
Right.
for the entertainment they provided and their particular personalities. Here on the ever expanding VTuber market, if somebody's playing Stardew Valley, there's 40 other people at least playing Stardew Valley that just get recommended to you. You come back to the ones that interest you and engage you, and you enjoy their personality. It's
Mhm.
yeah, and if you don't take that into consideration and you just don't adapt, then you're not going to grow very much.
No, definitely. That's something that I do notice with a lot of newer streamers too. And I've got a soft spot for it because I was there too. But they'll be sitting there, they're playing Fortnite with thousands of other people in the category. They're by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're not doing much of anything, and they've been doing that for the last 6 months. And it kills me because it's like if you would just put in a little bit of effort, I believe in you. You could totally do it. Just try, please.
Someone strap Hime down so she doesn't attack. No,
Right?
back. But it's again, there's some folks who obviously are going to take it as who are doing it for different reasons. Um,
Yeah, of course.
yeah, you've got people who are doing it who are trying to make a living at it. You've got people who are doing it because they want a chance to express themselves they don't normally have. One thing
No, 100%.
really enjoyed talking to people from every type of background because everybody's got such a different reason for coming in.
Yeah, and that's part of one of the that's one of the main reasons I really enjoy this space. I know that a lot of people can say, VTuber Twitter is toxic, the VTuber market or industry is, whatever. But I have met some of the best people here randomly that I don't think I would have found otherwise because our one main connector is VTubing.
Hmm. Yeah, without that, you would never met all those people.
No, exactly.
No, there's no way I would have talked to anybody from the Philippines if I hadn't started doing this. Um, well, without my wife finding out. Anyway, but
Oh no,
yeah,
scandalous.
yeah, well, that's fine. She's doing the thumbnail. She knows what I'm doing. She knows. She knows. She knows anyway. The entire it just plays itself into becoming a good way of socializing, but you've got to take the bad with it. And um, everybody's got to realize there are going to be some people who are going to, throw sand in your Cheerios.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm.
It's just something you have to be prepared for, and I've had to deal with that. Obviously, I think every creator has to at least some degree. Some people get luckier than others, but it's just a matter of starting to see it coming from a bit off too. It's like, oh, maybe I should distance myself from this person because their attitude feels like it's going to drag me down, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe this game that I've been playing for the last 6 months isn't good for me. It's making me really toxic and upset. Maybe I should stop. But it's what are you gonna do?
Getting over it with Bennett Foddy every day will probably throw you into the probably throw
Oh
you
yeah, no
into
kidding.
a really mean category very quickly. Dealing with the folks in chat, um, how many mods do you have?
I don't know off the top of my head. Let me go count really quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's one active mod for each of my average viewers. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 mods for Twitch.
Oh, that's nice. It's nice.
It's way too many, but they're all my friends. They've all supported me for a really long time, and they're very happy to help out. So they all kind of cover gaps and stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't have many issues either. I've been very lucky so far as how people behave in my chat.
Mm.
I think it's because I don't put up with, bull crap though. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you start letting one cat in, all the cats want to get in. Uh,
yeah, exactly.
and it's your space, you have to put down the rules.
No, 100%. I think that's something that, a lot of creators could stand to learn. I know that boundary setting is hard, but please, please, please set boundaries. It's so good for you and for everybody else too, because I can promise you if somebody's making you uncomfortable, they're making somebody else uncomfortable too, and they're not going to say anything either.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the downfalls is the anonymity of some of the folks too. That they're really not going to get. You not can't expect the FBI to come rushing into their house when they call you a nasty name. But
yeah, exactly.
But at least you can police it, where if the crack does show, you can seal it pretty quick.
Yeah, get rid of them, pretend it didn't happen. Don't feed the trolls, as I like to say.
Yeah, yeah. Except for me, I I require at least 4 good meals a day. The right now where you're at, could you be happier where you're at?
Well, I feel like I could always be happier, but that's one of the Sisyphean parts of being a content creator is once you've hit something, you always want more. So it's just a matter of managing your expectations, which is another thing to worry about too. It's like, yeah, I could be doing better. I could have more viewers. I could be able to spend more time. I could be able to pay somebody else to edit for me, put videos out faster, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's all about knowing what you are and aren't capable of and sticking to what you are capable of.
That's a great way to put it, and hopefully everybody takes that to heart and understands it.
I hope so too, because it can be hard. And trust me, I am the number one violator of my own rules, but that's why I know that those rules should be there, because every time I break them, I regret it.
Hime, it's been such a pleasure talking with you. I know you're very busy, and I appreciate the time. I hope that we can do it
of course.
again.
Thank you for having me on.
I hope we can do it again sometime, because your insight is very valuable, as you know, from what you've been able to go through and what you're doing for people right now. And you're the only person who's used the word Sisyphus in anything as far as what we've been talking about. And that's I'm gonna go look it up to make sure it was right, but I'll give you credit for it anyway.
I assume it's correct. I feel like that's how that's used, but it's also possible it's not. And so don't quote me on that.
Hey, thanks for coming on. And folks, we're going to have all of the links. If you can watch what Gunmetal Hime's got going on, you will be entertained, you will be educated, you will enjoy yourself, and you'll come back for more. Thank you, Hime.
Yeah, of course. Thank you again for having me on, Eric.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.